Hi, you've clicked on today's tropical tidbit for Tuesday. We're hunting for mischief in the Atlantic. So where is air getting taken out of the tropics? Right here. Notice the upper level clouds racing away to the northeast over here. So logically, where should the lowering of pressures be? Should be over here in the northwest Caribbean. Do we have lowering of pressures? We certainly do. As you can see, evidence of cyclonic turning over here with Invest 99L, which is now north of Honduras. Zooming in on this, here's the circulation right in here. Alright, pretty broad still, but you know what? Look at the convection going off around it. We're going to start trying to get it organized. We'll start to see perhaps some banding trying to develop later today. This is well to the north of where the models wanted to do with it. They wanted to meander it down here and turn it in. And this is an example of how the models are going to have to play catch-up after having more or less the right idea in the beginning, in the long range, which is funny, where the GFS was latching onto this properly in a hurry, a bit too strong, of course, because it ended up a little too close to land to develop quicker. But the GFS had the right idea way back then. They dropped it, and now they're going to have to play catch-up because the pattern is going to beat it. The reality will beat the models every time, and that's why you're going to start to see this kind of stuff start to show up. This is the NAM day 3 over here, actually 84 hours, and this is the 12Z run, and this is the first time that we've seen this kind of feedback on the model in quite a while over here for this system. The reason I'm showing you, it's the NAM, yes, but it's the feedback model for all practical purposes. So if you want to know if there's a chance that something develops, look at the NAM, see if it blows it up at all, and you'll get a pretty good idea of whether conditions are even marginally favorable for development. And they have been, but this model has been showing a dud of a system in here dying, having it die over Central America. GFS had it die, European had it die, but you see it's starting to show up now, and the models are going to start showing you what will happen in reality versus what they thought would happen before. This kind of a system is in a situation that is very favorable for development. You're getting air taken out. You got upper anticyclone over top. Yes, the air is still rather dry around it over here, but you've got the area of focused upward motion. Remember Paula? When she developed in here, remember how lonely she was with all the dry air around her, and it was a miracle that she really even developed as well as she did and became a hurricane with an eye and everything else in the Yucatan Channel. But she did develop because the water's still warm. You can get upward motion to focus up in here even when it's sinking everywhere else. So this is going to be something that could develop. Now that it's over water, this could easily become a named storm within the next couple of days, and I expect the Hurricane Center will continue to have to raise the development potential of this as time goes on over here. This is the European day 3. Here's the low over here. It came up like this, came back around, and then the European has it going into Central America and dying over here. This is the solution that has been depicted by all the models. My idea is still roughly the same over here. You see the big trough diving into the east. Alright, this big trough is going to be pulling the steering flow out to the northeast over here, tugging on this, trying to bring it up and out like this. It won't bring it out, but it will try to bring it up. The idea is still that this ridge is going to come across as the trough lifts out, build over the top, temporarily force this west, okay, and then the ridge moves back out over here, and you get the possibilities for this trying to get drawn north and entrained into a new trough that will probably come into the central United States down the road in 5 to 8 days. And this is something we're going to have to be watching. I think that this is not going to go into Central America or the Eastern Pacific. This area, I think, is a no-no. This is going to be drifting around, maybe making a small loop, and then coming back to the west, somewhere into this area towards the southeast Yucatan, and then it's going to try to get pulled up somehow. And therefore, Central America, Cuba, and the eastern Gulf of Mexico are going to have to keep an eye on this. The good news is that with the subtropical jet starting to get established over here near 20 to 25 north, it's going to be hard to get a strong system to come into the Gulf without getting sheared off over here. That's the good news, but nothing is guaranteed. We do get storms coming into Florida late in the season, in late October. It does happen. Remember, Wilma in 2005 came in the final 10 days of October. So things can happen in a potent way. So we'll have to continue to watch this area to see if we can get a storm affecting anyone. This is going to be drifting north and then coming back west. So watch first in the Yucatan, and then watch in perhaps Florida or the eastern Gulf of Mexico area if this tries to get drawn out later on. This is something that could get going rather quickly if it stays over water. So it really is something to be watched. The models The models are the models. Reality will happen regardless of what the models think. Remember, the models went flopping around on this, and I told you the pattern still favors development in here regardless, and that these folks in here need to continue to watch. And look what we have starting to spin up in here. So we do need to keep an eye on this for these folks, and be careful in case this tries to wind up fast. If we go to day 10 on the European, I want to show you this. Notice the big trough coming into the east, and notice the lowering of pressures over here in the Caribbean, eastern central Caribbean out into the central Atlantic. These are lowering and drawing the intertropical convergence zone more northward in here. You're going to get your convergence, vorticity, and chances for mischief down here. And why are they lowering? Well, notice the big trough in here. So where's the air getting pulled out? The air is getting pulled out of the tropics right in here, and that ventilates this area right in here, and so you can see the pressures lowering relative to where they were earlier in the run. You can see they're much higher in here, and then by day 10 they're a lot lower in this area, and we're going to have to start watching for mischief trying to come out of the central Atlantic into the southeast Caribbean, and see if we can get a shot of convergence to come in here. And if we look at the GFS, see what it's jumping on by the end of the month. It's got some sort of a storm south of Puerto Rico, just north of Venezuela over here, coming in like this. And this is what I've been talking about for a while. We're going to need to watch after Richard. If we do get this named over here, we're going to have to watch for the next threat coming out from east of 60 West. It may wait until west of 60 West to develop. It'll be interesting to see a pure system coming out of this area one last time before the season ends. And if we get Richard in here and we get Sherry here, that brings us up to 18 named storms, which fulfills my forecast for this season, and we'll eventually start winding down for real as we get through November. We're still going to be trying to get storms in the Caribbean in November, though. It really will continue to be a favorable pattern down here with the warm water. And with the troughing pattern into the eastern United States, you're taking air out of the Caribbean. Remember, you take air out of an air column faster than it gets replaced on the bottom, and you lower pressures in areas like this. So we're going to be seeing things like this showing up. We're going to be seeing things like 99L and Paula showing up in here, and Matthew, and all those storms that have formed since this burst began. And we're looking over here at the last 30 days of rainfall. Look at the big, strong, positive anomalies. I don't have the legend up here, but this is plus 15 millimeters positive anomaly over here in the Caribbean for the last 30 days, and it has been really wet in here. Remember how I told you the Cape Verde season would shut down in here, and as soon as it did, you'd focus all the activity back to the southwest of that, where divergence was occurring before. You now get convergence, and this is where the activity has been focused since the end of September. You can see it's been dry in the Gulf of Mexico because of the troughs into the east. You've been drawing moisture out up the eastern seaboard or leaving it to sit down here, but it has been active in here, and we have been watching this area light up, and we have had storms affecting people. The United States has gotten lucky so far this year. Other people haven't so much. We haven't had any major hits in here, though. We haven't had any major hurricanes in the Caribbean. Still waiting for that. May not get it, but it's still possible because the Caribbean remains favorable well into November for major hurricanes. So we'll have to see if anyone gets affected by one. But so far it has been rather tame, but we have gotten the activity. We've had much of a flurry in this area, and will continue into next month. So continue to be on the lookout. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching.